What's up everybody, and welcome to the channel. Today we're going to take a look at this 2023 Hyundai Elantra Limited. This is a hybrid. MSRP is around $30,000 and this one's finished in fluid metal. Underneath the hood of the 2023 Hyundai Elantra Hybrid, you're going to find a 1.6 liter inline 4-cylinder motor. It's putting out 104 horsepower with 109 pound-feet of torque. However, since it's a hybrid, it's paired to a 32 kilowatt motor, and that makes total horsepower 147 with 234 pound-feet of torque. It runs on an 11-gallon fuel tank, and you're looking at 49 miles per gallon in the city with 52 out on the highway. Overall curb weight is about 3,000 pounds. This vehicle is front-wheel drive with a 6-speed EcoShift dual-clutch transmission. Overall length is 184.1 inches with wheelbase at 107.1. Width is 71.9 and height is 55.7 inches. Ground clearance is also 5.5 inches. And then now moving on to the exterior styling with the 2023 Hyundai Elantra. This is actually a pretty sharp looking car. We get a really cool set of LED headlights. They have a blacked out housing, LED daytime running light, and you can also see the turn signal is within the grille mesh. You're going to see this dark chrome trim for all the mesh throughout the grille. Hyundai logo integrated up on top. You're also going to see a safety sensor down below that and quite a lot of openings to provide cooling to the engine. Has a pretty nice design the way the grille is so large and integrates to those headlights. You're also going to see a nice trim piece on the farthest sides, more of that dark chrome trim all throughout the bumper, and then a small opening down below. Definitely has a nice modern appearance. I think Hyundai's done a good job with their new styling. You get some sharp lines that are cutting through the bumper that fade their way through the hood and towards the windshield. And I just like how that has such sharp lines all throughout it. You don't normally see something like that on an economy car. Moving to the side profile, we get a two-tone set of wheels finished with silver along with gloss black. They're 17 inches in diameter and have a pretty cool 5-spoke look. You're going to see more sharp lines throughout the bodywork, and especially at the side profile, you get really sharp ones throughout the doors as well as the lower portion. You can see kind of a triangular shape throughout that door panel, which is really unique, kind of Hyundai's new design. You can see the body color on the door handles along with the mirror caps, and then you can see an LED turn signal integrated. We get some brushed silver trim throughout the lower portion of these doors, and then all black surrounding the windows. We get a sunroof up on top along with that shark fin antenna. And then moving to the side profile, the Elantra has a pretty good proportion. It's a smaller sedan, however it really does come together nicely with a good size. And I like how the roofline slopes pretty aggressively into that trunk lid. And I like how the top of the trunk protrudes farther than the center portion, which really gives it an aggressive design. You can also see the LED taillights all integrated throughout the rear bumper with more sharp body lines throughout them. We get the hybrid badge along with Elantra, trunk release button, backup camera, and the Hyundai badge. And I like just how sharp the back end comes together. Definitely a cool looking economy car. We get some gloss black trim throughout this rear diffuser with more parking sensors and sharp lines around the license plate frame. And I think overall it comes together pretty well. Now if we move on to the interior, we got your basic Hyundai key fob with remote start, of course lock and unlock. This does feature a proximity key, so keeping the key fob in my pocket, I can just grab the door handle and it will unlock. This car has the black leather interior. You're gonna see all black throughout the interior, which is a pretty nice touch with just a little bit of silver trim. Door panel finished off in black. You get this vinyl material with some contrast stitching throughout the center. You can see one of the speakers along with your different seat controls. You have more controls down here for windows and mirrors. We also get a release handle and grab handle, a little bit of padding, and then storage down below. This does give you power seats. You can see all of your controls right there. Some of the smooth leather with some gray stitching, and then perforations all throughout the center. You get a cool leather design making our way all the way up the backrest to a smooth leather design on the headrest, and then a cool 4-spoke steering wheel with silver trim. And then now inside the Elantra Hybrid, keep my foot on the brake, we can go ahead and fire it up. You're going to see a full LCD gauge cluster with your speedometer on the left. You also get some information on the right side for your power, eco, and charge. You're also going to see that battery indication. The steering wheel itself, you get the Hyundai badge on it. You have controls on this left side for some Bluetooth and audio. Cruise controls on the right side with steering intervention along with lane keeping. And then if you tap this pages icon, it'll go through the center screen with just a little bit of information. You can scroll up and down, see a few different things within the car, and then you can continue over into a few more items. If we take a look on the right side, you're going to see the stock for the windshield wipers, turn signals are on the left. And then down below, you can see the interior dimming, the lane keeping along with traction control. One of your air vents, you can see a cool circle design, which doesn't really do anything. It's just more of a design on the car, which is kind of unique. And then just gloss black trim throughout the gauge cluster, leading to an infotainment screen. We get some vinyl material up on the dash, and I like how the air vents are all integrated together with those 3 stripes. Then if we go ahead and take a look at the center infotainment, we have this hybrid indication right here you can go into. It'll show you your energy flow from the engine to the batteries to the motor, which is a really cool touch for any eco car. You have, of course, navigation, more settings like that, and then back to our home screen. If I go ahead and put this into reverse, your backup camera pops up with all of your guidelines along with parking sensors, and then you can even toggle this and you get a little bit different view for top down. If I go ahead and put it back into park now, you can see more air vents underneath that. Shortcuts down below for all of your radio and media. You can see that pop up as well. Of course, we're going to have Sirius satellite radio. You have Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, which is wired, so you will have to plug that in for it. Then we have, of course, more shortcuts all throughout it. Volume right in the center. Physical climate controls down here. You can easily toggle your dual zone temperature, fan speed, zones, and you even get heated and ventilated seating. All the different controls. And then storage space down below with wireless phone charging. You're also going to see different plugs. And then taking a look at the shifter, we get some nice black leather. Now up on top, we're going to have our drive mode select. If I go ahead and toggle this, you can see all of your different drive modes within the car, which is a pretty good touch to see for this vehicle. And then we have a shortcut for the parking cameras. You can easily pop that on and off. And then down below that, we have an electronic parking brake and brake hold, and then 2 large cup holders with piano black trim. You're also going to see kind of a cool grab handle for the passenger side, which kind of looks like some sports cars, which is a neat little touch. And then you get some black vinyl material for your armrest, and then opening that up, we have a pretty good amount of storage. Glove box on the far right side, pretty large as you would expect. And then one last look at Hyundai's newest Elantra. Not a bad place to be for a $30,000 car. You know, it's pretty nice with decent materials and pretty roomy up here. You're going to see a light gray headliner with our manual sunshade, get all of your dome lights up on top, and a mirror. And then moving on to the rear seat space, if we take a look at the interior, door panels finish off just like we saw up front. You got mainly black plastic throughout it, so no padding for the armrest. Seats are also similar with the smooth leather along with the perforations in the center. This can seat 3 people, and then right in the center, if I go ahead and pull this down, you're gonna see an armrest with 2 cup holders. You don't really have any amenities back here aside from just a little bit of storage on that passenger side seat. All right, so sitting in the back seat now with the Elantra at 5'11", I actually do sit back here pretty well. I have maybe about an inch of headroom, and with the seat at my height, got an inch or so of knee room and foot room. Pretty open with the windows, armrests are in a pretty good place. So for kind of being a smaller sedan, it's actually pretty roomy back here. Moving to the trunk space, you can hold down the key fob button. It's gonna automatically pop it, and then you can manually just lift it the rest of the way. Of course, you do have that button right there. So back here, this actually does get a really large trunk for being a smaller compact. You can see just how large everything is. Pretty roomy for all sorts of different storage. And then there's even gonna be these pull tabs right here to lower the seats. And with them folded down, you can see just how much more storage space you're gonna get in the back of an Elantra. Seats are gonna fold down nice and flat with even storage up in front. And the opening is pretty large to really make this a pretty practical car. So now setting off in the Elantra Hybrid, so some normal things you're gonna notice, the safety settings and features in this car are actually really, really good. I think Hyundai's done a great job with their cruise control, the lane keeping, the steering intervention. You can drive this car with no hands for quite some time until it yells at you. So it does a pretty good job staying in the lane, especially on the highway. So it seems like a pretty easy, normal car to drive. You have really good visibility, you know, a huge windshield, mirrors all do a great job. And over your left and right shoulder, really no blind spots or anything. It's just an easy car to be in. Now you can hear a little bit of wind noise and road noise. I mean, it's still an economy car at the end of the day. It's nothing too refined. And at $30,000, I mean, that is significantly cheaper than the average price of a new car. So it's kind of an inexpensive car to buy, quite honestly. The seats, they're a little stiff, I would say. So they're decently comfortable. They're not bad for around town, but I'd say long trips in this, you might get a little uncomfortable in the seats. They're just a little on the hard side. Still, overall, they're a good fitting seat. Just wouldn't mind a little bit squishier padding. Armrests are in a great place. And overall, it does drive pretty nice. You know, when we're taking some sweeping turns around 50 miles an hour, it's pretty planted. It doesn't feel like it's just all over the place. It's a pretty refined car in general for the price point, and it seems pretty solid. Leather on the steering wheel feels pretty nice. There is a lot of plastics on the interior, so again, you can see the economy car aspects of an Elantra in this. However, you know, for the price point stuff, it does look nice. It feels nice enough for what it is. So it's not a bad car just to kind of cruise around in. For the drive modes, the Smart and Normal pretty much drive the same. It just differentiates how it's going to be efficient. Sport mode, I like how it kind of sharpens up the throttle, gives you a little bit more power. It's not a fast car at all, but it's nice to have it a little bit more peppy. And of course, you can take manual shift if you'd like to just kind of play with it more. Now it's cool driving in the hybrid. I really like this gauge here. You don't need a tachometer in this car, but you can see the eco, the power, and the charge. If I take my foot off the gas, it goes into charge, it's regenerating, hitting the brakes, it regenerates more, and you can see all the energy flow over here. When I give it some throttle, you can see the engine or batteries giving power to the motor or giving power to the wheels. So I like how the hybrid system works. Sometimes it'll even say EV up on the gauge cluster like right now. So the engine's not doing anything. You know, we're going downhill. We don't need the engine to give you anything. So the battery pack is actually driving the car. Hitting a big bump real quick. Pretty solid overall, you know, for being a price point that it is, it does feel like a nice solid car. But driving the hybrid system I really like because it does get great gas mileage. We've gone almost 500 miles on this one tank of gas. So pretty awesome to get 50 mpg in it. And it's nice how it's pretty seamless when the engine needs to be kicked in, when it's EV, and just how the regeneration works. It's pretty nice. So overall, I think if you are looking for a pretty budget-friendly hybrid, the Elantra is something to look at. Hyundai gives you a nice enough interior to feel like you're in something a little bit cooler than just a generic car, especially with ventilated seats, navigation, sunroof. I mean, you get all the options you would want in any expensive car. And then the hybrid system does exactly what it needs to do to be incredibly economical. And this isn't all too much more expensive than a normal gas version. So if you're looking for an affordable hybrid, this is a pretty cool option. So my honest thoughts with the Elantra Hybrid, I am definitely impressed with the fuel efficiency, the economy aspects of it. It's pretty wild to be in a car that is this fuel efficient. And in general, I'm a pretty big fan of hybrids. I think they really offer you the best of both worlds. EVs, I don't think there is nearly enough support for them. It's just impractical. I'm just not a fan of them. And pure gas cars, of course, they're awesome. Those are my favorite types of cars. But for the typical person who's just racking up miles getting from point A to point B, to be able to get twice the fuel economy is pretty impressive. And just the way it drives, it's just easier to have a car that you barely have to fill up. So it's cool that you get basically the best of gas and the best of electric in a hybrid. And it seems like Hyundai's done a good job with their system in this Elantra. You know, when I'm driving it, it doesn't feel weird or anything right there. I can tell that was the EV getting me going, and now the engine is kicking on now that I'm getting up to a higher speed. And then going downhill, it's really cool. You can tell the engine turns off, and then we're in EV mode a little bit, and the batteries and motor are doing everything to drive the car. You know, when you're going downhill, you don't really need all too much power, so the electronics are all it needs. So I like the efficiency aspect to this vehicle. It's definitely just really, really cool. And I think the more and more hybrid technology gets even better, which is already fantastic, I think it's a cool way to just have a normal daily driver because you just don't use much gas, and they're getting cheaper to where hybrids aren't going to break the bank compared to gas cars. You know, when hybrids first came out, they were $10,000 more than the equivalent. You're not going to spend $10,000 in the lifetime of your car, so it would be kind of pointless. Nowadays, though, they're getting more affordable to where it's a pretty cool option. Driving in it, like I said, it's fine. It's kind of a normal car. It's nothing crazy like you would expect. I do like how Hyundai's technology works really well, so it seems to be a car that it just works well, easy to use, nothing really crazy about it. Fit and finish, I would say, is the only thing. It's nothing luxurious or super refined, but it's a little bit nicer than you might expect for an inexpensive car. So I like how you do get all the features. The tech works really well. I don't think it's a car you can complain with. You know, if you're looking for a $30,000 hybrid, this is definitely something to put on the list. I'm sure there's quite a lot in this price range, in this segment, that are definitely pretty competitive, but it seems like this is kind of just a car you can just drive, rack up the miles on, decently comfortable in it, and it's actually pretty roomy. You know, we had a smaller sedan from a different brand a while ago, and my knees honestly got cramped after about 30 minutes. I didn't notice that until I drove it more and more. This car, there's enough room in here to where nearly 6 feet tall, my legs are actually stretched out enough. I'm not so low on the floor to where my knees have to be bent or anything. So it's a comfortable enough car for anybody who is even on the taller spectrum. And it's a roomy car in here to where I think a lot of people, different body styles, could honestly fit here pretty comfortably. And the fact that you actually have a useful trunk and useful back seats in a car that's not really all too big, it seems like they've designed it well enough to be a good sized car. So not bad at all. I think, if you're looking for an affordable hybrid, this is something to take a look at. And man, that's so many miles on one little tank of gas. That's just impressive. So there is the 2023 Hyundai Elantra Limited, the hybrid. Pretty cool for sure. Let's go into sport mode. Definitely no sports car. But if you're looking for a nice little hybrid, this is pretty sweet. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, stay tuned for plenty more content, and I'll see you all in the next video.